It's time for the women's vault final in Varna. A fascinating field, a 15-year-old, 5 16-year-olds, an 18-year-old and a 34-year-old. Let's have a look at the contenders.
Representing Azerbaijan, Nazanin Teymurova.
Youngest in the final, first-year senior Nazanin Teymurova of Azerbaijan, 5th best in qualifying.
Uzbekistan, Gulnaz Jumabekova.
1 place above her, Gulnaz Jumabekova of Uzbekistan, the silver medalist at the South Central Asian Championships. Switzerland's Daria Hartmann, senior international debutant, age 16. Full international debut for Floor Schloof of the Netherlands. Greta Moyer of Hungary, second best in qualification. The reigning Hungarian champion on vault. Laia Font of Spain, 16-year-old, 6th best in qualification. There's the top qualifier, 34-year-old Tiana Korent of Croatia, multiple World Cup medalist. And the last to go will be Bengisi Yildiz of Turkey, the 3rd best in qualification, and the 16-year-old who has competed at 2 European and 1 World Championship. From a difficulty standpoint, Tiana Korent, a 4.0 and a 4.2 start value for her vaults. That's based on qualification. Then the majority of the rest of the field posting something around about 4, and in the low to mid 3s for the second vault, with the exception of Laia Font, who posted a 4.4 for her first vault and a 3.2 for her second, so quite a disparity between her 2 vaults. There wasn't a great deal of a gap between Korent and Greta Moyer, the second best in qualification. Based on qualifying, Greta Moyer has got a 0.2 disadvantage in difficulty, but her execution was really lovely of both vaults. From the Netherlands, Floor Schloof, 16-year-old from Haarlem, making her full international debut. She did compete at a small invitational competition back in February. The first to go will be Nazanin Teymurova of Azerbaijan. Daria Hartmann, the gymnast from the north of Switzerland, already twice a national champion, not on vault, but on the balance beam and floor. Warm-ups almost concluded. Now we are. The gymnast based in Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan, Nazanin Temurova, gets us underway. She was the 5th best in qualification. Average score of 12.45. She only made her senior international debut in Cottbus at the World Cup in February. For the next World Cup in Doha, she made her first senior international final. And that was on floor. Then made the floor final in Baku, where she had a tough time in front of her home crowd, and the final in Cairo. So this is her 4th international final. And that's a very good record at just 15 to have already accomplished that. Those of you who watched the European Youth Olympic Festival last year will remember her from the vault final. Handspring front pike with a half turn from Nazanin Temurova of Azerbaijan. Nicely executed first vault. Keeps the heels together. Comes round for a pretty secure landing. Doesn't get enormous amounts of distance away from the vaulting table. This vault scored 12.9 in qualification. She did also make the vault final at the Junior European Championships in 2022, and it's a 12.9 just as in qualification for Temurova, so that's nice, consistent vaulting. Quite a delay this for the 15-year-old. Now the second vault for Nazanin Temurova. 3.4 difficulty score in qualification. Good straight line. Well performed by Nazanin Temurova. She had a good final. She'll certainly need, from a difficulty standpoint, some assistance from the rest of the field if she is going to challenge. but she's done basically everything about as well as can be expected. And it's good to see her after the really tricky time. Well, we'll just come back to that. 12.7 for the second vault for a 12.8 score. Way, way better than qualification. She added 0.4 of difficulty. I believe in qualification she did a piked Sukahara, so picking up an extra 0.4 there. And consequently, she's well up from qualification. Now this is Gulnaz Jumabekova of Uzbekistan. Execution of the full twisting Yurchenko from Gulnaz Jumabekova was solid. 8.733 in qualification. Just lacking a little precision in form in the air. Not the truest of connections on the springboard as well, and I'm sure you can see that replay does illustrate that it's not the tidiest looking of vaults. From the 18-year-old from Karakal, Pakistan, which is the whole of the northwest of Uzbekistan. She won team gold and vault silver at the South Central Asian Championships in Dakar in October of 2021. That final where there was joy as the host nation won the bronze medal with the Banafuli Chakma, Bangladesh's only medal at that competition. 12.9 for Jumabekova. So that gives you an idea of how much stronger the execution was for Temurova, that they had the same score, but with Temurova having 0.2 lower in difficulty. Use of the handspring front tuck salto. Just a little adjustment as she lands. Again, the form in the air is something she's working on. She competed at the Varna World Challenge Cup last year as well, Jumabekova. Her teammate Luba Amrilaeva is the first reserve, hence why she's waiting in the wings. From a very different part of the country, literally the opposite end of Uzbekistan. She's from Kashkadaria, which borders Tajikistan and Turkmenistan. The Karakal Pakistan region where Jumabekova is from is a region that's had a very difficult time of things of late due to the loss of the Aral Sea, which has almost completely evaporated. And that due to diversions, man-made diversions away from the Aral Sea, going back to the 1960s and 1970s. It suffers from enormous drought now as a region. It was a hugely important part of Central Asia, going right the way back to antiquity because of its agricultural history. It's been a very difficult time for Pakistan over the years. What was once an enormous freshwater area is now a series of 4 very small lakes and a huge desert. It's very stark and staggering, actually, if you look at aerial photographs of what the Aral Sea was and what it now is. First final ever for Gulnaz Jumabekova in World Cup competition. And hopefully by the end of the weekend we'll know her score. It's taking a little time at the moment to get these vault results in. They've got time to finish not just their mouthful, but the whole thing. Any moment now. There we go. 12.616. 12.333 for the second vault for Gulnaz Jumabekova. So she's up from qualification. First 2 gymnasts have both stepped up. Daria Hartmann of Switzerland. Just a little offline, but I think she's stayed in bounds in the Yurchenko layout vault. She is from Villnachen in the north of Switzerland, a very small village of about 1,500 people. Many of whom will be watching this excitedly. Eighth best in qualification, 12.283 average. Not very high difficulty vaulting at this stage of her career. This first vault was a score of 12.4 in the preliminary round. The better of the 2 vaults. 12.333 is solid. Just working to get her execution up towards the 9s. The Pike Sugihara, the second vault from Daria Hartmann. And it is with real congratulations to her that she makes her senior international debut in this competition. Already a finalist at World Challenge Cup level. It's a great accomplishment. Landing adjustment will lose some tenths. This wasn't as well executed in qualification as the first vault. But hasn't she done well to already be a 2-time national champion at her age? She competed at the Swiss European Championship trials. Not the easiest of experiences. There were not many places available. It's not been the easiest spell for the Swiss women's team of late. Hopefully Daria Hartmann can continue to play her part. She's done pretty comparably to qualification with 12.216 the average. Now to Floor Sloef of the Netherlands. Full twisting Yurchenko vault from her to start. The very common vault that young gymnasts will use as part of their all-around program, as I'm sure many of you know. It's a pretty secure looking full twisting Yurchenko. Her score was 12.933 in qualification. It's a full international debut after an appearance at the Luxembourg Open in February, which is an invitational competition. And she won the uneven bars bronze medal there, so a nice moment for Floor Sloef. .166, that is the best score that we've seen so far. So she could be poised to go into the lead, albeit this is a lower difficulty vault. And that the Turisheva vault. 3.2 difficulty. The tucked Tsukahara. It's not an enormously tight tuck position that she adopts. Half turn onto the table and then the back tuck salto. Named after the 1972 Olympic champion Lyudmila Turisheva. Now, has she given herself enough of a cushion with that first score, which was the highest so far, considering that that second vault we've just seen is the lowest difficulty score that we've seen so far today? It needs to be really crisp from an execution standpoint if she's going to contend. But the first vault, very nice. 12.499 and 11.833, just not quite there yet with the execution of the second vault. Nonetheless, she is in the bronze medal position. Floor Sloef at the halfway point of the competition. Leading the way, the fifth best in qualifying, Nazanin Teymurova. So she will at least match her performance in qualification. Now, we still have to come. Greta Moyer, the second best in qualifying. Leah Font, the sixth best in qualifying. The top qualifier, Tiana Korent, and the third best qualifier, Bengisu Yildiz. So this really is a very bottom-heavy second half of the final, with the top three qualifiers all in the bottom part of this competition. It is a random draw, and it is going to be interesting to see who wins in the difficulty execution trade-off battle between Moyer and Korent, because they were virtually inseparable in qualification, only about 0.06 of a mark between them. But as I mentioned earlier, Moyer's difficulty lower, Korent's execution lower. Her average 13.099, Moyer's 13.033. So it might well come down to very fine margins, unless somebody springs an upgrade. We've already seen that with Teymurova. Of course, it might well be with Teymurova that it was simply the case that she didn't actually quite fully establish the layout position in her qualification vault. to an important part of the Hungarian team, Greta Moya, the squad that came fourth at the European Championships in Antalya last month. They had an excellent competition. She has been a top 20 in the all-around competition at continental level too, and she is the champion domestically on vault. Tidy looking start with a full twisting Yurchenko. This had a score of 9.033 for its execution in qualification. Good position on the springboard, good central line. It's a well-performed vault. The amplitude is decent too. She did win a medal at this World Cup last year, but on floor, came second. .266, virtually the same as qualification, down by a few hundredths. It's the best single vault that we've seen so far. I might have said she was down from qualification. Apologies if I did. She's up by a few hundredths from qualification.
Representing Hungary, Greta Meyer on her second vault.
Yes, that's a good vault from Greta Meyer of Hungary. Well, I think she's positioned to go quite clearly into the lead. Layout Tsukahara, it's good form in the layout position. Again, the central line is lovely. And this will certainly ask the question of the veteran Tiana Corrent, who is to come in 2 gymnasts' time. She is yet to win a World Cup title. She did win the bronze medal at the World Schools Championship on vault last year in Rouen in Normandy. Just remind ourselves that Tiana Corrent will probably have a little cushion in terms of the difficulty to play with over Moya, but not a lot. .049, a 12.833 for the second vault, so exactly as she scored in qualification. A new leader, Greta Moya, then Nazanin Temurova, and then Gulnaz Jumabekova. Now to Laia Font of Spain. And her choice of vault, the layout Tsukahara full, so she gets that full twist added in. And this we anticipate being the most difficult vault of the final, 4.4 difficulty score, because of the addition of the full twist. Doesn't quite have the tidiest of form towards the end of the vault. She's a little bent over. The execution score in qualification was 8.6. The 16-year-old who competed at the European Championships, part of the Spanish team, and she did do a vault as one of her 3 pieces for the team. 13.066. It is a little better than qualification, but by less than a tenth. Now, she is indicating a Yurchenko layout. And that indeed is what we see from Laia Font. She was only given a 3.2 difficulty score for her first vault in qualification, so there's the potential here for Laia Font to make a very different impression on the final. She was introduced to the sport of gymnastics by her sister Carla, who also trained. She made her senior international debut at the Cottbus World Cup, was 4th in the vault competition. Couldn't believe that she was competing alongside Oksana Chusovitna, who ended up being just 2/10 above her for bronze. No shame in that. Losing out to one of the legends of the sport. .799, 12.533 for the second vault. So, by the tiniest of margins, Temurova stays in second place now to Tiana Korent. Opens with the handspring front pike half. She had a slightly tricky ending to that vault. That's her 4.0 difficulty vault. Just to clarify the leaderboard for you, Moya, then Temurova, then Font. She's almost there at the stage of sticking that, but just takes a little adjustment shimmy as she lands. So it's still not clear as we try to navigate our way through the meadow that is this vault final. There's still a lot of long grass to try and see through as to who's ultimately going to take it. Her second vault, more difficult than the first. The only gymnast posting a second vault of increased difficulty. The 34-year-old competed at her 5th European Championships last year. The first ever Croatian to qualify for a European Championship final. That was a decade ago. She also made the final at the European Championships in Mersin in 2020. 12.9, almost identical to qualification, but down by a few hundredths. Now Moya was up by just over a hundredth of a mark.
Representing Croatia on her second vault, Tiana Korent.
She's only ever won one international title. It was in 2010. This the second vault from Tiana Korent. Full twisting Yurchenko. It's well performed. And this is going to keep us guessing right up until the last moments of the competition. .2 difficulty score. Gets the heels together nicely. The line is quite central. There's a lot of power in that display. What a remarkable gymnast she is. What an advertisement for the sport. She's also a qualified accountant. She's a coach as well. She's hugely respected, Tiana Korent. .05. She has gone into the lead by 1/1000th of a mark. I told you it might be close. I didn't think it would be that close. Now, Bengüsü Yıldız of Turkey, what can she do? She's certainly in contention as well. Starting off with the full twisting Yurchenko of her own. This 16-year-old from Turkey, she was about 4 years old when Tiana Korent won her only international title. The scoring qualification was 13.133. If she gets something around that, then she's absolutely in the mix. So 13.05, 13.049. That's current 1 and 2. And then we have a 12.8 for third place. 13.033. That's down by 1/10 from qualification. Bengüsü Yıldız needs a really top draw second vault. What's she going to produce? Well, that is very good. The Kim vault, 3.8 difficulty. Tucked Tsukahara with the full twist. Now then, this is most interesting. Bengüsü Yıldız has certainly made herself part of the conversation and certainly a threat to get a medal. The question is what colour? Temurova, the gymnast who was first, currently in the bronze medal position. It looks as though that might have changed based on her reaction. She knows something we don't. What does she know? The suspense continues in Varna. That is the reaction of a pretty happy athlete, though. We had Korent in the lead, then Moya. But what has she just done? 12.849. That is why Bengüsü Yıldız is so thrilled, because she has managed to win the bronze medal. And as a result, she's taken her first ever World Cup honours. And it is her first ever full international medal too. So enormous congratulations to Bengüsü Yıldız. Now, just hold on to your hats there, because we have got, by the looks of things, a change to the scores. It doesn't seem to have changed the positions, but Greta Moyer's score has been given as 13.05 rather than 13.49. The same score as Tiana Koren. We'll come back to that in a moment, and the tie-break criteria if necessary. Bengüsü Yıldız, 12.85. She has secured the bronze medal, but word is being informally communicated that there has been an adjustment to one score. It may well be that one for Greta Moyer, hence the change. But certainly it is clear that Tiana Koren has produced a winning score, either as the sole winner or the joint winner, and she will be in receipt of World Challenge Cup honours. Let's have the victory ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's invite with huge applause champions on board for women.
The victory ceremony in the women's vault competition at the Varna World Challenge Cup of Artistic Gymnastics. She looks absolutely delighted, Tiana Koren.
Third place and bronze medal representing Turkish, Bengüsü Yıldız.
Bengüsü Yıldız of Turkey takes the bronze medal. Lovely moment for her. First ever full international medal.
Second place and silver medal representing Hungary,
Greta Moyer of Hungary, the winner of the silver medal. Another medal in Varna, a year on and in a different event. Almost a decade and a half after her first World Challenge Cup title, Tiana Koren of Croatia, the 34-year-old, has done it again. She has proven that you can be in the best form of your career at any stage of your career. She is a wonderful example to gymnasts. She's a fabulous advertisement for this sport. She is a veteran, and now, once again, she is a champion.
And first place awards Deputy Minister of Youth and Sport, Peter Georgiev.
Първо място награждава заместник-министър Петър Георгиев.
And we will now have the national anthem of Croatia.
Ladies and gentlemen, please attention for the anthem of Croatia.
The national anthem of Croatia, played in honour of Tiana Koren, joined by her fellow medalists in the vault competition at the Varna World Challenge Cup. Lijepa naša domovino, the 1835 national anthem of Croatia, adopted fully in 1941 and then re-adopted in 1972. It was written by Antun Mihanovic with music by Josip Runjanin. She must be absolutely thrilled as well, the youngster who made her World Championship debut last year.